Degenerates and reprobates, welcome to the Friday Night Spot Show. I'm Aria. That's Trey. Trey, how the hell you doing today?
I am doing great. I'm excited. You know why? Because I got myself a new setup here and I can actually see what we're watching on a whole freaking screen.
Holy shit. That that could improve the quality of this show, but I don't know if we want to do that though.
You're right, we might ruin it.
Um,
Maybe I need to get the iPad.
for those of you who for some reason did not listen to us talk about this on one of the shows this week when we talked about it, either Tuesday or Thursday. And if you didn't listen, what the hell's stopping you? Anyway, we're not doing NWA WCW tonight, despite our alleged promise that you cannot prove that we ever said we were going to do that, other than I posted it on the YouTube page, we talked about it on the show, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay,
No, no, no,
this is
no. Yeah.
this is my fault because I forgot and I found something else and got excited, but we can go back to the
It,
World Championship
it's all
Wrestling next week.
it's all good. So Trey, tell us what we're gonna watch today.
Okay, so as I was perusing the YouTubes the other day, I saw Scott D'Amore's new Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling promotion. You know, they have obtained a lot of the rights to the well, I guess whatever WWE doesn't own of the old Maple Leaf Wrestling, I guess they have the rights to. Which would that be like WWF would own like post 84? Is that when the Tunney switched from Crockett to Vince?
Um, it's either 84 or 85. Like I want to
Yeah.
say 85, but somehow that doesn't sound right. I
Yeah.
think it was 84. And part of the issue was that it was a Crockett territory, or a Crockett territory. It was part of the Crockett territory. And Jim Crockett, well, ish. It wasn't really part of the territory. But anyway, Jim Crockett was sending talent to Toronto.
Right.
And when the Wrestling War of 84 was going on, Crockett just assumed that Frank Tunney was going to go to Vince. And so he didn't want to potentially send his good talent up there that Vince is just going to snatch away because, hey, these are the stars in Toronto. So he started sending the lower card guys and none of the stars.
Ah.
And that's what ended up happening was, well, he made Frank Tunney's decision for him.
So Crockett did it to himself.
Basically, it's hard to say what would have happened though, because
Anywho,
Vince Vince was taking over, and
yeah.
it kind of made sense because even in this case, it's not like Crockett was running Ohio or Western New York or anything where like or Michigan, so you could like okay, well, send the guys on a couple shows to Ohio, Michigan, and then up to Toronto. It was just a one and only or one and done type situation for them.
Right. Right. Toronto was the Tunney city.
Yeah.
So it wasn't part of the Crockett territory. It was the Tunney city and they got talent from Crockett.
Yeah. It's kind of like how Houston was Paul Bosch's city, but it
Right.
wasn't a territory. It was a city that, or was a booking office, as Gary Hart would say. And they would basically rent talent from all around.
But anyway, now that we've
Um,
gone off on that tangent, the point was the other day I noticed that the YouTube channel had uploaded an episode of a 45-minute or so television episode from the Maple Leaf Gardens from January 1957. And I thought, well, shit, we have to watch that.
Now, just a warning, a heads up. I have been busy between working on my second book, doing my actual shoot job, and just lately I've suddenly gotten a life now that I gotten a boyfriend that I have not done my usual prep work to see what the matches are and to do some digging. So I am going to be really surprised here by everything that happens. Um,
Yeah,
Trey, have you done any research into this week's episode?
I didn't. I have also been busy, but let me at least find the card here, and I'll see if I can come up with some kind of context. I am pretty good on a lot of stuff when we get into the territory area proper. The Golden Age is a little bit more fuzzy to me. A lot of these are just names that I know. Okay, so there's three matches. Baron Gattoni versus Billy Red Lyons. Do
Okay.
not know who Baron Gattoni is. Have heard of Billy Red Lyons. Don't believe I've ever seen him wrestle, but have heard of
Yeah,
him.
I know he was part of the WWF during the expansion, but I think he was just hosting the Canadian TV shows.
Yeah. And then we have the Millers, Bill and Ed Miller, who's I think a pretty famous tag team, or unless I'm confusing them with another Miller Brothers team, against Pat Flanagan and Ken Kenneth. And then the main event is Steve Stanley against Edouard Carpantier, who a wrestling legend and the perpetrator of the original Montreal Screwjob, and
We'll ha
almost yeah held
You'll have to
a
tell that story.
oh okay so
Well, no,
let me
when we get to Edward
okay
Carpentier.
yeah okay but yeah Edward Carpenter, and he had a brief an unrecognized claim to the NWA World Title with did an angle with Luthez in the 50s, and yeah, so as far Edouard Carpentier I think would be the most noteworthy wrestler featured on this show.
Indeed. All right. So you ready to go?
Yeah, let's go.
So we're gonna press play and see where we go. I do have the audio up, so we're gonna see how this thing comes on. I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit here.
Hey, it actually worked right for me this time. It started playing when you hit play.
There we go. We're already off onto a great start. So, World of Sport from Maple Leaf Gardens. Obviously not the UK World of Sport. Oh, it's wrestling. There we go.
Oh,
I was worried what we were going to be watching with Dave Price.
Good evening, wrestling fans. Dave Price speaking to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto once again. And this week, Frank Tunney has another fine card lined up for you. Baron Gattoni of Italy against Red Lyons of Hamilton. In the first bout, that was a great big hand for our ring announcer, Jerry Hipp. In the second bout,
Jerry
tag
Hipp.
team bout, Ken Kenneth of New Zealand and Pat Flanagan of Toronto.
Well, I guess we
against the
need to
Miller
do the
brothers,
match
Big
card when
Bill and Ed.
he's here to tell us
In
all
our
about
TV
it.
main event tonight, Edouard Carpantier of France against Steve Stanley of Chicago. And the first bout between Baron Gattoni and Red Lyons will be coming up in just a moment.
That's truly an international main event. Edward
Here's Red
Carpentier
Lyons coming into the
and
ring now. Boy,
Steve
who
Stanley from Chicago.
did not get his start in Canadian.
although we don't have to do too much on it now, but I have to correct myself. I think I was mixing up the Edouard Carpentier angle with Luthez with the original Montreal Screwjob. That was Henri Deglon. My mistake, everybody. I had the wrong French
Well,
wrestler.
we should still talk about it later.
I
Why
will.
the hell not?
I will. I will talk about the original Montreal Screwjob when we get to it. Yeah.
So this,
Gattoni has only been in
well, Baron
North
Catoni and
America
who's the
about
other
a
guy?
year. More about that later.
Billy Red Lions.
Oh yeah,
We're
Billy
about
Red
ready to
Lyons.
go, so
He looks a lot
Jerry
different, 30 years younger and in
Hipp.
tights.
Mm-hmm.
Last bout, one fall, with a 20-minute time limit. In the red corner, from Italy, weighing 280 pounds, Baron Gattoni.
There we go, Baron Catoni in
And
the
in
row.
the white corner,
Yeah.
from Hamilton, weighing 239 pounds, Red Lyons. The referee, Cliff Worthy.
Okay, so a few things about this. Why is Red Lyons not in the red corner?
It's Baron
Uh,
Gattoni.
we have a visitor.
280 pounds, isn't that right? He doesn't look his weight.
Is this
but,
is this
talk
this
to him
isn't a
about
referee,
about
right? Like
305 pounds.
is
I guess so.
Right too when you see him strip.
maybe okay. Well, it might be the referee.
But in any case,
So Red Lyons was in the blue corner, and it made it even funnier when they're announcing the red and the blue corner. The show's in black and white. In case
Yeah.
for some reason you're not watching the video that I'm putting up here.
32 years old.
In terms of like
Italy.
just overall build and body type, Baron Gattoni reminds me of Bull Dempsey.
But he didn't have his papers.
I can see that. And I don't know if you know this about Bull Dempsey, but before he got signed, He was a local in Northeast Pennsylvania, a local indie guy named Donnie the Body Johnson. And when I was familiar with him, he was actually doing a Body Donna gimmick, and he was in
Oh,
much better shape. Like he was probably low 200s, 220 or so. And so I was like, I remember when I found out they were the same guy, I'm like, that's not possible.
dude, look at these guys grapple and work that fuck. This shit is awesome. I love it already.
Oh yeah.
Look at the chest.
We need more Baron Catoni in our life. Where the hell has this guy
Yeah,
been?
man. Oh,
Like this is what people think of when they think of old school wrestling. Like a big sick motherfucker,
oh,
you know, bullying around
look at that
Red
body
Lions.
slam. Look at that body
He took a
slam.
he took a body slam almost on his ass.
Oh,
Lands with a headlock.
Um, it's like, okay, fine. We're not going to be watching 37 moonsaults or 15 super kicks in this match. But you know,
Here, that grinning up there, that's red.
honestly,
oh,
you
this
brought up
is yeah.
You
Go
brought up
ahead.
Bull Dempsey. I was thinking more like Dick Murdoch,
Wow, he came off the ropes into
like that kind of level
Yeah.
of thickness.
Oh, yeah.
chin. That really dropped him. This is a chin lock. Can slip in
I
the
just-
choke very easy
And I,
in a
and I hate to be that person, but Baron Catoni slapping on a chin lock and Red Lions looks more threatening than if, you know, a 160-pound wrestler did it.
And the Baron didn't want to.
Yeah. Well, that's what now. Clearly, it. I would assume that Billy Red Lyons is the more prominent star of these two wrestlers. I would assume, but
I would
watch
say so.
how they're working
Proverbial break.
to the other guy's size. That they're working it like a smaller wrestler would wrestle a larger wrestler, even if he's, you know, overall considered better and the favorite. There's still going to be
Yeah.
a size and power discrepancy.
And that's not to say Billy Red Lions is a small man either. He's a very big guy, but
Oh,
Baron Catoni has, I don't know, you'd say 35, 40 pounds
I-
on him?
hey, Baron Gattoni's a big, thick, barrel-chested son bitch with like legs
Yeah.
like tree trunks.
Way too.
Oh my God, yes. Like, you could probably crush a pineapple in those things.
They got a fucking proper collar and elbow tie. Oh, that was awesome. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody just drop out of a collar and elbow like that. Oh, he's throwing the forearms.
Yeah?
Oh, he gave him a big one.
Oh!
No
That,
sign
that,
of club.
right to the face, and I think Baron Catoni just got a receipt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely like that was a live round there by Baron Catoni, and you saw Red Lions hit him right in the face with a forearm before going back to the chest.
That was a hey, lighten up, buddy.
Yeah. Oh Lord. I was
Oh,
like,
that
is this gonna be
big
a
high-
backdrop or a bear hug? Yeah.
Tony comes from northern Italy.
That's a hell of a
From
bear
Northern
hug.
Italy.
That's all. Yeah.
Yeah. This is not Andre the Giant holding Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 3.
Worthy has
No, this
Yeah.
really looks like a bear would pick you up and squeeze the fuck out of you.
short
Oh, we
Oh
have
my
a
God, he
winner.
won! He
Oh,
won with the
wow.
bear hug.
Okay.
Daniel Bryan would
Shows how
approve.
much we know. Baron Gattoni, your winner. All right. I need more Baron Gattoni.
Scott Demore, if you're listening to this, I don't know why you wouldn't be. You need to put up more Baron Catoni matches.
Please, more Baron Gattoni matches.
It was the hands.
So that was our
Look at
opener.
that.
and Damn.
Face of
The,
red.
the fella
must
at
want it more.
ringside, I don't know what he did, but you see him just kind of give Baron Gattoni a little pat on the ass as he left.
He has.
I did not see that. I
guess
looked
he
away
has
for a
the
second.
stretchers,
Or
or the doctors.
they're getting a stretcher for Red Lions too.
Oh, damn. That was a dead. He really did. That would be what happened when you got hugged by a bear.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we almost got a little.
By the way, I
Yeah,
love
so like I said,
Dan too.
Mhm.
it's funny watching this, the Maple Leaf Gardens in 1957. The way it's shot, like the exact same way that they were shooting the WWF at Maple Leaf Gardens in like 84, 85.
Yeah, and they even have the fucking ramp. You know?
Yeah, love that ramp.
I know. It's like, this is, and I forget if you and I were talking about this or something else was like, I think we were, because we were talking about the AEW going to smaller arenas, which have characters. Like, this is one of those things that made Toronto stand out. When you watched it as a child or even older, it's like, okay, you know it's Toronto because they got that ramp. And the WWF used to shoot from behind, which, I mean, I guess either way. But actually, it took me longer than it should have to know that that ramp had steps at the end that you just walked up and down, like before you got to the back. I thought like they like the ramp went to the back, like you see in wrestling nowadays.
This man has been selling this bear hug longer than wrestlers today sell a Canadian destroyer.
Well, that's not saying much. And I mean, so I'll tell you what this does. It gets Baron Gattoni over. Because now, like, oh my God, this big ass motherfucker has a submission finisher of the bear hug.
Look,
And-
neither of us had ever heard of Baron Gattoni, and now we're like the Baron Gattoni fan club here.
Yes, we need more Baron Gattoni in our lives. I'm not even sure how to spell his name because I tried googling him and got 3 different spellings.
GATTONI was what it was on the YouTube.
I was gonna say that is the more prevalent version.
I think Billy Red Lyons might be dead.
He might be. It might have been some other Red Lions that showed up on WWF television 30 years. This might be why he retired from the ring.
Ah, yeah. I mean, I would retire after that.
The stretcher will undoubtedly be back in the hospital room.
I'm gonna say this
Here it comes now.
the hospital, the medics are taking their sweet time. Oh, and it's I guess it's 1957, but
That's
it's
not
the
a
old
stretcher.
school.
That's a fucking litter.
It isn't Gattoni at 305 pounds who has to be carried out because Lisner could never make it.
Gattoni's 305 pounds, which believable. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't weigh him before the match, but I'd say 305. I just love that, like, this is, like, so, like, we're not editing this, we're not going to commercial and coming back. We've been watching Red Lions laying there for 2 or 3 minutes, and now we're watching him be lifted and dropped onto the gurney and being theoretically carried off here.
It's just so like nothing gets the chance to breathe anymore, and it's just like we've been sitting here for like 3 or 4 minutes just soaking in just the greatness of Baron Gattoni, the fucking commitment of Billy Red Lyons. Bless him.
His arms
He is-
dangling off the side. I'm loving that.
He may be dead.
I'm like kind of curious. Like when they take him down that ramp, are they going to drop him? I mean, in theory, they would. Like, I'm assuming these are shoot medics, so they would know how to walk up down a ramp with, or up and down steps with a gurney. But still,
How big do you think that ring is?
how big?
Yeah.
I'd say 18.
Brings that very fabulous.
You think it look bigger than that? Maybe it's just the way they're shot.
I think it's also because like the ropes are a lot more in than they would be nowadays. Because like the posts aren't aren't against the corner of the ring. The posts are a good couple, I don't know,
Yeah.
inches, like a foot in. So it's like the ring. I bet like if you went like ring apron to ring apron, it's probably 20. But if you just go inside the ropes, it's probably 17, 16 because there's so much room there.
Yeah. So much room for activities.
Yeah.
Miller Brothers
From Ohio.
From Ohio.
from Ohio.
And Kenneth.
Flanagan and Kenneth.
And here's Jerry Hip.
Let's go back to Jerry Hip to tell us do the intro here.
This bout, one fall, with a 30-minute time limit. This will be a tag team match. In the red corner from Ohio, weighing 290 pounds, Big Bill Miller.
That's not how I'd
Also in the
assume
red
Big
corner,
Bill Miller would be.
and from Ohio, weighing 300 pounds, his brother, Ed Miller. And in the white corner, from New Zealand, weighing 235 pounds, Ken Kenneth.
Mr.
Also in the white
Kenneth.
corner, from Toronto, weighing 230 pounds, his partner, Pat Flanagan.
Oh, we know who the
There will be
baby
two
faces
referees,
are.
Joe Golub and Al Bunny Dunlop.
You know, Gorilla Monsoon is always famous for saying there needs to be 2 referees in all tag team matches.
Yeah.
It
yeah,
is.
absolutely.
We mentioned this earlier, the referees do get their own introduction, and they come out after the wrestlers.
I do
That is
wish
tremendous.
that I do wish that the ring announcers was still like they do in New Japan. After they complete the ring introductions, it's like, referee red shoes uno.
Yeah.
Through the discus, 167 feet.
I
So
will
I was,
say at least Hunter the Barbarian went a step in the right direction when the referees began having names again.
Yeah.
And was out of that.
So I was wondering because the Miller brothers tag team that I am most familiar with was Bill and Dan Miller. And so I looked it up and it is the same. Dr. Bill Miller is one of the same as Big Bill Miller. And apparently at some point he changed brothers.
Ed Miller, no, that's
Or no, according to Cage Match, he and Dan had already been a tag team since 55. And Bill and Ed are just a team here from 56 to 59.
305.
Okay. Now, is this Bill or Ed? Because the announcer didn't seem to know, but I think it's Ed, because I think Bill was the smaller one, wasn't he?
I did not quite catch that. I think I was Googling Bill Miller.
Yeah, they were like Big Bill Miller, and it's like, Big Bill Miller is smaller than Ed.
Well, maybe it's Big Bill and Bigger Ed.
Very quick.
Yeah, I mean, he's not small Bill, but, of the 2 people on the team, I would take Ed as the big one. Although I guess for alliteration purposes, maybe it should be Enormous Ed.
Now imagine what a team if we get our time machine and start using it to book supercards, we can book the team of Big Bill Miller and Big Bill.
Well, Big Bill is 7 feet tall, and I've been led to believe you cannot teach that.
That's I understand that. And I'm with you that you can't teach somebody how to be 7 feet tall, but if you are a certified G, where did the certification come from? There has to be some kind of certification process, which implies that there's some kind of education involved.
How did Tom Pritchard get his doctorate in desire?
He wrote a dissertation on, I don't know, how to woo rats in Houston, I guess.
It's amazing how far we go off on tangents on this show. By the way, and I always say this, Enzo Amore was a shit friend. He comes out, he calls himself a certified G and a bona fide stud. But the nicest thing, the only thing he could come up with for his best friend is he's 7 feet tall. Like,
no wonder he turned on him.
Yeah. It is confusing, announcer. We're not. I believe this is Big Ed. The referee has put a cravat on to Big Ed.
These are some very active referees. These are troubleshooting referees.
And they're in the ring. Actually, the fat one is standing on the apron. He's in the heels corner too, so it's hard to get any cheating to get some heat on these guys.
You gotta keep an eye on those heels.
Yeah. Gorilla Monsoon will be proud.
Okay, did you catch which of the Which of the other guys is which? Who is this in the ring?
No,
Is that Flanagan or Kenneth?
I
Oh shit!
think I think that's Flanagan. I think Flanagan is running
Oh,
wild here.
he just did like the Goldberg to Bret Hart's head kick. He just did to Miller's gut. It was awesome, like a fucking spin kick.
Tagged outside the rope.
Although I think Flanagan did not end the career of
Outside the rope. And then tagged.
Big Ed. Which one is this?
Big-
Big Ed. Yeah, Big Ed is the thicker one.
All
He's the one in
right,
the ring right now.
Big Bill and enormous head.
Get in here.
Yes.
You take care of it.
He's
Now,
daring
is
Flanagan into the corner.
Pat Flanagan? You think he's related to Flash Flanagan, OVW fame?
I don't see why not. And it's funny because, like, to me, Flash Flanagan, growing up reading Aftermags, he's a USWA guy. And the Millers
Oh,
are now
yeah.
having a hug it out.
Well, so it's important to stay close to your family.
Wasn't Flash Flanagan, wasn't he Spellbinder
There's a whip.
in
I don't
WWF? Or
maybe.
not Spellbinder. Was it like he was the magician who pulled out underwear or whatever? Was it like Fantasia or something? What was that
Yeah,
awful
something.
gimmick? I know I really just narrowed it down for 90s WWF, but it's like it was like a magician gimmick in like 95.
Yeah, I remember
was
what
like,
you're
oh,
talking about. El Phantasmo was a different wrestler.
yes.
Yeah, I think it's Fantasia.
Now, Fantasia was Brad Armstrong in WCW, and a strongly worded legal letter changed his name to Bad
How many
Street.
times did that happen to Brad Armstrong? Because that happened with Arachnaman too.
Well, that one was just stupid. Like, you knew what you were getting yourself
Yeah.
into when you did that. But then he was Brad Armstrong Candyman. Not Candyman Brad Armstrong. Brad Armstrong Candyman.
Breaking the hole.
That's
You notice we're not as in love with the Millers as we were with good old Baron from earlier.
I mean they're good, but they're no Baron Gattoni.
I'm gonna have kids so I can name my firstborn Baron Catoni now.
I'm gonna find a cat, a big old man cat that looks like a Baron Gattoni.
Ed Miller, but he's awful close to the bad guy.
My coworker lives on a farm and she just got a goat and she needed a name for him. And I doubt she would get the reference because I don't think she's a wrestling fan. But I wanted to tell her to name him Goat Hendry.
I thought you were gonna say the name of Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson.
Oh, no.
It's a tag.
Well, it's funny because when I had a stuffed yellow dog, I named it Brian Pillman. And nobody,
See-
including my wrestling fan friends, got the joke.
Look at the twist.
See, Daniel Bryan is a goat. Bryan Danielson is the goat.
Yes.
He got that little hair and you're gonna pull it. That's just mean.
About a foot of snow.
It takes some skill, though, to pull the hair when your opponent doesn't have much.
Left arm of Flanagan's
This-
challenge.
The most magnificent bald spot on the head of Pat Flanagan.
Even
I think Pat Flanagan is secretly an Anderson cousin.
You know, I think you might be onto something there.
Although Miller here in the ring, he's growing a pretty good bald spot himself.
He's trying. He's got a ways to go though. That
Yeah. Well, I mean,
oh, friendly fire.
oh my God,
well, Kenneth
friendly
Miller-
fire there. By the way,
Looked like
speaking of matches I wish we could do on this show, but unfortunately I can't find it fucking anywhere. Minoru Suzuki versus Mecha Mummy.
Oh, there.
We need to find a way to find those matches and review them on this show.
I will see what I can do.
There, those elbows
You know,
into the heart.
Poor this poor bastard. He's taking a beating. Well, he's not really taking a beating, but he's been there for a while. And there's a solid monkey flip. A nice hip toss on the ass and hip.
Look at these young whippersnappers just going a million miles an hour. Do they need to slow down?
This is a moves match. This is a 1957 moves match.
Killing the business.
Oh, Lord. The Young Bucks grew up idolizing this match specifically.
Yeah. Having a conference here.
Of course, the heels have to regroup.
I don't know how to explain this, but Ed Miller looks Russian. Like, wouldn't he be a great Russian?
He probably could have been, yeah. Him and Uncle Ivan could have been a team.
You know, I was thinking he could have also been a Nazi, and apparently he may have been because one of his ring name was Karl von Albers.
And this doesn't help. There they go.
And this is the 1950s, so it's just as topical as if it happened today. Did I just say that? You know you're a great heel tag team when there's two referees and you're managing to cheat still. And by the way, I'm not sure when the referees switched, but the fat one is in the ring now.
Maybe the referees, do the referees have to tag in and out?
I hope so, but who's going to enforce it?
Yeah. So the Ed Miller's last listed match on Cage Match was against Baron von Raschke in 1970 for Dick the Bruiser's WWA. But the funny thing about that is that for some reason on Cage Match, Dick the Bruiser's WWA has the logo for the Andrew McManus WWA.
I've learned that that's the only WWA logo that has ever existed, apparently.
Apparently.
Remember when I was younger and I discovered the WWA? I'm like, man, I really hope they make it. Because, you know, I didn't actually watch the shows. I just read about them.
Yeah. Now, I want to see, they need to switch and have, I want to see the Miller brothers against the two referees.
And Flanagan could be the referee.
Yeah. And Flanagan and Kenneth could be the referees. Just swap it up. Oh.
I mean, he's been taking quite the beating here.
That was a little low, I think.
Oh, he made the hot tag.
Oh.
Here's a wild New Zealander right at the moment.
He's not exactly running wild right now.
I wonder.
Wait a second. Two things. First of all, I don't think the referee saw the tag. Secondly, the referee switched again.
The big fella ain't got as much wind. I say that as a big fella.
No. Although was it a legal switch though? Why isn't the referee counting to 5? Is that not a rule in 1957?
I don't know.
You know, this match is older than my favorite football team. The Bills did not start until 1960. You think about like the WWF or the WWF, they didn't crown a heavyweight champion until 1963, when Buddy Rogers flew to Rio de Janeiro one day.
Technically, because the NWA World Champion was the World Champion before that.
Yeah. Oh, it was like 48, wasn't it? 48 or 49?
Yeah, 48, I think, was the original.
But even, well, I guess they had the U.S. champion, because Slow-Mo Brazier was the U.S. champion for a little while, at least, in the 50s.
Well, Vern Gagne was the U.S. television champion on like Chicago TV, and then they were like, you know, there were people saying that like in some circles that was bigger than Lou Thesz's world title.
Yeah, but it was manhandling the smaller referee. I'd like to have seen him try to manhandle the big referee.
Oh, that was awesome.
I gotta say, I was not expecting an over-the-top rope bump like that. He went and
No.
he swung. Oh,
Oh, what
the
the
referee!
fuck?
What the hell are the
Oh,
referees doing?
these are active referees.
We have broken down to a six-way here.
You need to send this to your most famous friend and
Have
tell
her
her that's what she
critique
needs to be
this.
doing. Yeah.
If we watch Dynamite next week and Aubrey is, you know,
if Aubrey
manhandling,
if Aubrey puts somebody in a rear chin lock.
yeah, we'll know. Hey, she watched some Maple Leaf Wrestling last week.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
Lord.
begging off. Begging off. I really do wonder, like, when, like, the actual what we would recognize as the hot tag came from. I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess that it came from Tennessee.
Honestly, I got no idea. I mean, and I mean this one's going to be an obvious one, but I think it's a very much a TV spot. It's like I know we're on TV right now, but this is 1957. TV is not TV yet. Like you'll notice at no point have we gone to commercial yet. But it's like, you know, a hot tag is like it's a spot made for TV. It's hey, the crowd is into this, but so are the TV audience watching. So otherwise we're watching this and like these are the worst babyface comebacks ever. I was actually wondering what match we're gonna have that was gonna be wild because I'm not expecting a promo segment on this show.
What,
I was
15 minutes?
yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised because I figured this was going to be a squash match. And I figured we'd end up
Okay.
with the world class like 20-minute main event.
Yeah, so this is actually like kind of pre-territory. The 50s are people call it like the golden age. This is like Gorgeous George. This is when wrestling was on like the major networks when there was only, four networks. The
Yeah.
territories uh the territories start to form like in the 60s when that kind of breaks up. They're starting to form here. Like obviously the NWA has formed in 1948, so it exists now, but it's like the territory system isn't really established yet.
hmm Like obviously there are promoters with
Yeah.
cities and whatnot, but it's like you're not getting a lot of regular full-time territories at this point.
But yeah, but the point I was trying to get to before I lost my train of thought was that before the territory system really got going, TV was squash matches. You did get actual like matches on television. It was like wrestling was like boxing.
hmm
You get the big matches from the big local arena on the TV, or even like on the networks. You might get them, all over the place.
Yeah. And I mean, part of the issue too was you didn't want to put the main event on TV though, because why would you pay to go to the show if you could sit at home and watch the big main events for free?
You know,
So that
I was
so that's
looking.
Mhm.
I was looking for a chance to bring this up on the podcast because the other day I was listening to the great Between the Sheets podcast with Chris Zellner and David Bixenpan, and they played a clip from 1992. It was part of the Lawler and Jarrett versus Moondogs feud, and Lawler actually explains on Memphis television in kayfabe terms why TV matches are squash matches.
What does he say?
Okay, so the story was that for months the Moondogs have just been beating the shit out of all the job guys, just like
Mhm.
beyond the pale, beyond the point that you would expect them to beat up the job guys, just brutalizing them. So now they have set up a lumberjack match at the Mid South Coliseum where it'll be Lawler and Jarrett against the Moondogs, and the lumberjacks are going to be all the job guys that they've beaten up with steel chairs. So anyway, and that's like a cool stipulation. That's a great gimmick. So they actually do the interview where they're explaining, hey, these guys are not full-time wrestlers. They are guys who have a regular job and they're wrestling on the weekend, trying to get noticed, trying to get better. And the reason that they get booked on television is because he said everybody understands wrestling is a business. The goal is to sell wrestling tickets to the public. You can't put your big matches on television because that's giving away your product. So those young guys will get, Eddie Marlin will book those guys for television to give them a chance to get seen and really to give the stars a chance to get exposure.
That's as much of a kayfabe explanation as you've ever heard. By the way, we just had a torture rack. Oh, the torture rack was the finish.
Oh,
like that time we had a torture rack. It wasn't even the finish in 1957. But no.
Boo,
They are in fact two big guys.
Brothers. They are. Oh,
much like
much
like Sergeant Slaughter. They are. Oh. Well,
I thought we were going to have that's just very, very poor sportsmanship.
I thought the code of honor was going to be adhered to here.
Yeah. Pat Flanagan would be awesome in a pure rules match, I bet.
Well, Flanagan was now trying to go after the Miller brothers, and he's getting double teamed for his efforts.
Oh.
Flanagan needs to just call it a day here, people.
Yeah, just. Oh. And just kick for Kenneth. Now they're beating up.
Poor Kenneth. But like Flanagan is now for the third time. Is like, okay, I get babyface fire and all that, but I'm sorry, Flanagan. Today wasn't your day. It's time to go home.
And poor Kenneth, whose first name I do not remember. That's how much of a
Ken Kenneth.
Okay. He had like the one spot, but Pat Flanagan was the star of this match.
Well, Pat Flanagan was in the match for 18 minutes of the 19-minute match.
Yeah.
And that's including the time they got a fake hot tag.
Helping each other to the back. Good friends. Good men.
Yes. Now, where's Russo to book them to turn on each other?
Oh,
and you could pay to watch.
They would never. Pat Flanagan would never turn on a friend.
You could pay to watch them decide who the biggest loser is. Bro, no one cares about wrestling, bro. Speaking of him, did you see, I don't know how long ago this was, but I saw someone post this on Facebook. Dipshit went on his podcast and said, like, here's how you can tell someone's a mark in wrestling. It was like, they care. They were like, they don't want to see pretty girls in wrestling. They care about the fake matches. It's like, bro, shut the fuck up. It's like,
stupid motherfucker.
He's got a lot of heat with me.
He's got go away heat with me.
Gardens tonight in the neighborhood of 10 or 11,000, which is pretty good for a very cold night.
10 or 11,000 people. And something tells me they're not lying. This is probably not the TV number. This is not the entertainment attendance was not 10 or 11,000 people. That's probably pretty much the legit attendance here.
How much did the Gardens hold? Do you know? So I can look it up.
I don't know. Probably like 14, 15. Edouard Carpantier versus who? Steve Stanley, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's go. Let's go to the introductions with Jerry Hip.
And that's H-I-F-F. That's
Hip.
The information of some people who wrote me.
In the red corner, from France, weighing 220 pounds, Edouard Carpantier. And in the white corner, from Chicago,
Edouard Carpantier.
Oh, it's a fat referee.
All right, fat ref.
Language and,
Well, according to
He-
Wikipedia, the capacity of the Maple Leaf Gardens for ice hockey in the 50s was 12,586. So
Okay.
for wrestling, probably 13.
Yeah, 13, 14.
know all the rules. He knows enough to reach out and see whether or not Stanley's got any grease on him.
So, Mr. America, Steve Stanley here.
Oh,
I wonder how he won that
He
contest.
just smiles at Stanley there as Stanley tries the same.
Or maybe he's married to Mrs. America.
No, Mr. Stanley wants it that way.
oh, Mr. Stanley not observing the code of honor either.
Look at that
Nope.
physique on this young French.
Now, do you think they need to have any contests during the show about how if you send in quality pictures of yourself and you're at least 18 and single, you might go on a date with Edouard Carpentier?
I bet that's a
He's
fine
a
looking
good-looking man.
fine looking specimen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite as unscrupulous.
But he probably doesn't need a contest to get women. Mind you, he'd need
Nah,
to do the
no.
Rock and Roll Express.
No, no. They probably needed a contest to just filter some out just to get the number down more manageable.
I
So
still
should
wanna
I
know
talk
what they-
about? I'm sorry. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Should I talk about
the
the
Montreal
original
screw job.
Montreal screw
Yeah.
job that Edouard Carpentier had nothing to do with?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
So May 4th, 1931 in Montreal, okay, Strangler Lewis is defending the original World Wrestling Championship against Henri Deglan. And between falls, I don't know if it was between the first and second fall, the second and third fall, but between falls, back then, the wrestlers would return to the locker room between falls for, I don't know, whatever the time period was. So they go to the locker room, they come back, they restart the match. Deglan puts Lewis in a headlock, and then immediately screams out and comes out. He's been bitten in the arm, just horrible, viciously. And Lewis is disqualified, and Henri Deglan is awarded the world championship.
That
But
son
what-
of a bitch.
Yeah, but what comes to be discovered
No, either.
was that Deglan likely bit himself, and it
Likely,
was
no one bothered to ask our venerable
I-
world champion.
That I may be I am missing some detail. I don't remember the whole story. I'm sure there's more to the story, but anyway.
Mhm.
So this has gone down in history as the original Montreal screw job.
This Carpentier-
Well, I guess it was just the Montreal screw job until 1997 when it became the original. But
You don't think Shawn Michaels thought about doing that to Brett?
if you look closer at the situation, there becomes a little more to it because Ed Don George had won the world championship toward the end of 1930,
Told him where our camera-
and it was just kind of like a young aspiring wrestler who got a little run, but like it wasn't going to work as a long-term champion. So on April 13th, he loses the title to Lewis, and then less than a month later, this Montreal screw job happens. Now, here is what Steve Yohei and Scott Teal wrote about this situation in their annotated The Fall Guys. And The Fall Guys was an expose book written on pro wrestling by a journalist named Marcus Griffin, who was essentially Jack Pfeffer's newspaper stooge. And we could do a whole fucking show on Jack Pfeffer. But here's what Steve Yohe and Scott Teal say about it. The entire situation stinks to high heaven, and it worked out for all parties concerned. Paul Bowser, the promoter, wanted the title on Deglan, and it was much more impressive to have him defeat Strangler Lewis than the not near as well known Ed Don George. Young George had his day in the sun as champion, which raised him to another level. Lewis got a great payday and a lot of publicity. The crew job finish worked for everyone, and nobody lost face in the process. And plus, Bowser continued to work with Billy Sandow and Stringer Lewis afterwards. So it is very probable that one of the Montreal screw jobs was a work.
You should just post on Twitter that you think the Montreal screw job was a work.
I will do that.
I'm sure that won't lead to any issues. By the way, Mr. America, Steve here, he's not jacked. He's not like, I'm not looking at a young Chris Masters or anything, but he's pretty fucking ripped. He's pretty built here.
Yeah. It's you got big shoulders.
Yeah. Honestly, most of the people we've seen on this show, like they're athletic, but like they're not, muscular. Like they're not what you think of wrestlers today. And we're getting to the nitty gritty here because there's less than 90 seconds of the show, and oh my God, he did the Ultimo Dragon flip over move.
He did. Edouard Carpantier, winner.
Holy shit. Edouard Carpantier. Yeah.
At first, I thought that Steve Stanley was giving him a reverse brainbuster, and then no, he was doing the Acai DDT.
Yeah.
And then he again is a poor sport and gets his ass whipped for it.
What is with this show and the losers being poor sports? Well, I guess Red Lyons wasn't a poor sport.
Yeah. No, well, we don't know. Red Lyons wasn't a conscious sport.
Poor Mr. America, Steve Stanley.
Oh, poor Steve Stanley.
Oh my God! Like, I know that this is it. Unless they've uploaded more stuff, but like, we need to see more World of Sports Maple Leaf Wrestling.
Scott D'Amore, please. We need more of this.
Holy shit! And like, when you think about yeah, if you think about I guarantee there's gonna be like 12 views of this video because like, how many people care about 1950s wrestling? But like, the people who watch this with us, like, this was a really fun fucking show.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, and it's just matches, like just 3 matches, but it's it's so different. It's so different. The emphasis is different, and I don't know. Great
Everything
stuff.
about the presentation was different. We have a new favorite wrestler in Baron Gattoni, who apparently has also been known as Ricardo Montana.
Oh.
And I have the unfortunate responsibility to inform you that his last match was in 1966, losing to Mr. Clean.
Mr. Clean was Ed Miller.
Was it?
Yeah, I was just looking.
I don't think this one was.
Okay, well, there was a Mr. Clean that was Ed Miller.
Yeah, this is Mr. Clean, Kleen, also known as Brute Bemis and Brute Belkis. Brute Bemis is a fantastic name.
Yeah. Okay, so there are 2, or at least 2 Mr. Cleans, because Ed Miller was also Mr. Clean, Kleen.
Mr. Clean works good on dirt and grime and grease in just a minute. And by the way, I have the legitimate sad news to report. Baron Gattoni passed away in 1982. So he wasn't even alive when I was born.
Aww. There was just the world couldn't handle that much awesomeness at once. Arya and Baron Gattoni could not occupy the earth at the same time.
Nope. I'm sorry to the family and friends of Baron Gattoni.
R.I.P. Our champion forever.
He was born in 1920, so I mean, there's only so much. There's only so many family and friends we can be talking about here, or there's so many friends. You could obviously have family still with us.
Same age as my grandfather's would have been. I think one of them was born in 20 and the other in 21.
Yeah. I always loved like hearing stories of like people born then. It's like, like they didn't finish school. I was like, well, we couldn't finish school. It's like it was the Depression. They had to go to work. They're 12 years old and they had to go support the house. And I'm not saying that should happen nowadays, but it's like it's obviously a very different world, you know, and it's kind of mind blowing. Like I can't imagine someone in sixth grade right now saying, I can't come to school because I got to go work in the mines. I got to go work in a factory for 40 hours this week to help support the family.
Hey, that was really common up until the last, 80, 60, 80 years or so.
Mm. All right. So
It was a damn fun
unfortunately,
time.
it was. It's kind of unfortunate that we're not going to have any more Baron Gattoni to discuss on this show. Um, we might have to do a Baron Gattoni tribute show just to, even though we only have one match of the poor guy. Actually, no, my God, there's more. I don't know about Wrestling with Maple Leaf Gardens, but um, I put in Baron Gattoni in YouTube. Yukon Eric
Oh,
versus Baron Gattoni from the Buffalo territory. Um,
awesome.
Yeah. So we Mr. Clean versus Steve Stanley from 62. So we could be in for some good shit here with in good old 1957 Toronto Pro Wrestling. All
Oh,
right.
classic Toronto wrestling. Let's see what's on this here channel. The Scufflin' Hillbillies versus Tarzan Tyler and Ike Eakins.
That sounds like a five-star match anywhere in the world.
A main event in any arena.
Yeah. Um, Once again, I'm making a note for the Tuesday show. Which shows you how
The
important this
Tuesday.
is if I'm making a note about it, because
Oh,
usually
all
we
right.
we riff about shit at the top of our heads. Oh, I don't know how much you'll like this discussion that we're gonna have on Tuesday. Uh,
Aw. What? Why
you
would you start a
you
discussion I won't like?
I think we'll have an interesting discussion. But something you said to me inspired uh what I want to talk to you about on Tuesday.
Okay.
All right. So that's going to do it for this week's show, for the Friday Night Spot Show. It's our quickest show. It's our most intimate show. It's the most fun show we have. But that's going to do it for this week. Go listen to the Oh My God cast. Go listen to the other three shows I do every week. Thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you again in 7 days.
Baron Gattoni forever.
Baron Gattoni for president.